Lost searching for dead money in the bowels of the Sierra Madre Resort, it's Michael Fincher and James Robertson with That Podcast. Okay, this is James Robertson from That Podcast. I've got Michael Fincher. We're here to talk about Dead Money, which the other Michael, who's normally on this podcast with me, can't really talk about because he plays on the PC exclusively, and as many people have said in a complaining tone of voice, it's not available for the PC yet.
Hopefully soon, though.
Yeah, hopefully soon. I mean, I've got both the PC game and the Xbox game, so I'd like to see it on the PC, especially since I'm playing a character on both the PC and the Xbox that's kind of oriented towards Dead Money, but we should probably get into that.
I was going to say, I did the same thing. I had the PC and the 360 version, and I'm creating a character on the computer to play Dead Money because my current character is terrible at Dead Money.
I ran into that problem. I had a character that I don't think I ever put anything into either melee or unarmed. No, I put a little bit into unarmed and nothing into melee. The only reason I put anything into unarmed was so that I could get through the scene where you're punching the guy out with, for the California Republic, for the NCR.
Right.
So I get into Dead Money, and of course, all of your weapons and everything are stripped. Ammunition and guns are scarce as heck, and you're out there in the villas, and you're being attacked by these things, and all you've got is bear claw fists.
Right. Which is a pretty cool weapon if you're built to use it. But I have a strength of 4, an endurance of 4, and a 20 UA, UA by unarmed, and 20 melee. So I picked that perk you can get at the beginning that you have a frail body or a skinny body, so you can dodge bullets.
Right.
So my bones break twice as fast, and I'm on hardcore. So this was horrible for me, or not horrible, but challenging.
Yeah, actually, probably pretty undoable, I would think.
I had to scrounge every gold coin to buy doctor bags to fix my broken limbs that got caught in those bear traps.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. I didn't take that perk, but I started out with, I think, melee and unarmed, even below 20, because like I said, I just never really was interested in that. My favorite weapon's the sniper rifle, and I just love picking things off from a distance.
Yeah, me too, and that's why this was challenging. I think they designed this. I want to ask your opinion on this. It seemed like they designed this entire game for the underused skills, like underarmed, survival. You had to use a lot in this, which you don't really normally use because everybody's used to Fallout 3, and sneaking. What else? And melee. All those things you normally don't use were used in this game. And
no, I think you're right. I seem to recall, I don't remember which game this is about, but there was some DLC pack for one of the other games I played that was mentioning that it had been designed to take into account things that you didn't normally do. And this certainly seemed to be built from that standpoint, that sneak is important, unarmed is important, melee is important, certainly survival is important, especially if you were playing hardcore like you mentioned. I mean, I haven't played hardcore, so I couldn't tell you, but even not hardcore, there was a point where I was trying desperately to get from one part of the villa across to the other so I could get back to the police station, because I was completely out of stim packs, and it was the only place I could think of that had a bed I could sleep in.
You could sleep in beds?
Not in the villas. In the villas, they're all open to the air, so you can't. In the police station, you can sleep on top of one of the cots in one of the cells.
Oh.
And I noticed that because I did that early in the game when I was getting, oh gosh, I can't even remember his name now, but the big Nightkin guy.
Dog or God.
Yeah, when you're getting Dog or God, depending on which side of his personality is present. So when I was getting him, I noticed you could sleep in there. So then later on, I was trying to go back there, and I was getting my butt kicked the whole way across the villas. And I got in there, I think, with one bar showing.
Whoa.
Yeah, I barely made it.
So what does Dr. Bags do for you?
They can heal. If you're not playing hardcore, they do heal limbs, so you don't have to use a stim pack. I mean, basically, they're kind of superfluous if you're not playing hardcore.
Right, I guess so, yeah. Well, they were the thing I needed the most in this game because those bear traps, one hit, my bones were almost broken, and one more and I'm gone. And those gas bombs, the worst, because they were area effect, so it would break my neck or head, arms. So I was constantly getting having to repair my limbs, which was rough. And by the time I got into the main Sierra Nevada, I had nothing left. I had all my limbs are broken. I was just limping everywhere. It was tough. I mean, that was awesome about the game. The game is tough.
Well, it's funny, though. Once you get into the resort, once you finally get through the villas, it's like it flips on a dime, and suddenly their weapons are more plentiful, ammo is more plentiful, stim packs are more plentiful.
Yeah.
It's suddenly you're back to the Fallout New Vegas you're more familiar with, where you can find guns and ammo everywhere.
What did you think of starting the game out like naked again, basically?
You know, I was kind of okay with that in the sense that it seemed like it was harkening back to the pit. If you remember that from Fallout 3.
Yes.
You come in there and you start out with nothing, and you're basically in character rebuild mode. If you come in with a guy who's got decent unarmed skills, melee skills, higher survival, you'll probably do okay. I mean, you find enough melee weapons that you can make out. I mean, you can find the spears, and you can find the bear claw fists, all that stuff. So if you come in with the right skills, I think it's okay. It's just I came in with no skills. I was like, I had a level 30 character. He's maxed out, but he didn't have any of the useful skills.
Right, yeah, same here. Except for medicine. I was at 100 with medicine.
Okay.
And that was very beneficial.
I would think it would be, yeah. But I it was, like I said, it was very much like the pit in that sense. So I was okay with the premise. I just had difficulty playing it with the character I had built.
Yeah, well, I loved that aspect, but because by the time I started playing this, I was the same level as you. I was kind of resting back easy. I mean, I love that when the game starts, it's scrounging for every bit of ammo, every bit of money, so everything you find you love. By the time I started this download content, I had like 50,000 caps.
Yep.
And I was a fat cat. And this game really kind of brought me humble again, so I really love that aspect. I know some people didn't like it.
You can't use money in there, the caps money in there anyway. All you can use is the Sierra Madre chips, which, again, just sort of like with the weapons and ammo, they seem really scarce until you get into the casino itself, where suddenly there's a glut of them.
What was I going to say? Oh, did you notice with the hologram merchants and the villa, they had 0 caps, but you still had to trade. You had to kind of balance off what they had with what you had. Did you notice that? Did you try using those?
No, I didn't even notice. I didn't. This is something I've obviously missed. So there are hologram merchants.
Yeah. There's hologram merchants, but they have no caps. But what they do have is, I thought this was a rather neat aspect of the game. They have like a few paltry items and a lot of pre-world money because obviously the resort was before they used caps. So what you have to do is, if you want to take a bunch of stuff out with you without the weight, like all the junk you find in the villa, you just kind of balance it while trading off with old world money. Old world money weighs nothing, so basically it was a great way to make money if you didn't already have money.
Yeah, now I didn't notice that during the gameplay. The only point I thought that would be useful is, and you can find this in the Wikia too, is when you get out with as many of the gold bars as you feel like carrying, you want to trade those in for the pre-war money, because no one in the wasteland will have anywhere near enough caps to trade you.
That's what those are for then?
Yeah.
All those, okay.
That's generally what they're supposed to be for, is because no one out in the wasteland will have that kind of caps. The most caps I've seen anybody in the wasteland, the most caps I've seen anybody have is at the Mojave Outpost. I think Lacey there normally has somewhere in the range of 5,000 to 7,000 caps.
Right.
Which wouldn't even be enough for one bar.
Right. I just beat the game, so like 5 minutes before you and I started talking, I completed the game. I've been trying all day to finish it.
Okay, now you can tell me how you beat it, because I got to a point where I had just barely made it past the 3 holograms. Where you're going through where you're going up to the place where you're going to talk to Elijah.
Right.
And you get to the door and you get in there and you then read the messages to Vera. You don't read the message that ends up going to Dean.
Right.
And you go back out. Now at that point, I could not for the life of me, and maybe it's because I don't have high enough sneak, maybe it's because my skills are in the wrong place, I don't know. I could not figure out a way to get past Elijah.
That was very glitchy for me as well. And it was very frustrating. And I was trying to beat this to hurry to talk to you. The only thing I could do was drop all my gold, hit on the stealth boy, and sneak out. And
now, how high was your sneak when you did that?
Well, I think when I did it, I'm sure it was 100, because I took a magazine. My stealth is normally at like 50 or 60. So I'm pretty sure I had 100 stealth and a stealth boy going on. So I think that would make it automatically.
So you
100.
dropped all the gold and you made it out without any gold.
Yeah, because I've heard there was a glitch that you can't make it out with gold.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there are plenty of glitches.
Yeah.
Here's what happened to me. There's a way, if you go right up to the barrier and you don't have high enough sneak, he'll talk to you about how, he'll taunt you basically and then open up the barrier. And if you're kind of aimed into the barrier when he comes out, when he pushes you, instead of being thrown backwards back into the area where you have the fight, you kind of get thrown into the area where you're on the other side of the barrier. But then I was kind of screwed because I found out I couldn't go up the elevator.
Huh.
So I maybe something just glitched in that game because I could not get the elevator was gone. I was on the right side of that, but I think it's because and I just couldn't get out.
It was very glitchy with me. I think that's the biggest, one of the biggest glitches with the download was trying to leave the vault. And the other, what was it? There was some ammo, like if you had, was it the hollow rifle?
Yeah.
Or the laser rifle, if you had the max or overcharges, sometimes it wouldn't register that you had those. So you couldn't load them, and the only fix was to drop the weapons and pick them back up.
Yeah, I didn't run into that much, but I kind of gave up on the guns because ammunition seemed to be so rare until I got into the casino itself.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about the characters you play with because you come
absolutely yeah.
You come in without any companions. It's again like the pit. You go there, you're by yourself, and you have no gear, and then you're supposed to gather these companions. Now, a couple of these people are pretty interesting, like Dog and God. The
right. He was great. Yep.
That guy is kind of interesting. I mean, Dog is a simpleton, but then God is a real smart aleck.
Right. Yeah, they were polar opposites. One was supposedly obsessed with control, God, who has a God complex, and one who I guess was obsessed with carnal nature, the hunger, and, I guess, and wanting to be controlled.
Yeah, and that the first part of the quest was difficult. You had to wander all over the village because when you get Dog or God, you have to leave him in one place because he's the only one strong enough to turn these valves you have to have turned or to pull these switches you have to have pulled. And he says he won't do it unless you go kill a couple of the ghosts, which again, if you don't have the right skills, are really hard. And you have to kill those and bring back meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of trouble with that because, again, I didn't have the right skills. So then you meet Christine, who's the brother. You find out she's Brotherhood of Steel, but she's been operated on, and maybe you're supposed to find this out, why all this happened if you get out the right way. I didn't find out. Since you got out of the vault, did you find out anything about Christine?
Yeah, she turns out to want to stay, and she becomes the guardian of the place. And I'm trying to think what place she had in the story. Well,
she's the smart one. She just can't talk.
She does talk.
Towards the end, after you kind of fix her and she talks with Vera's voice.
Well, she makes a reference at the end once you beat the game. In fact, I think a few people do, that another courier, and I think they mentioned to it earlier in the game, they mentioned another courier came through, and he looked like you. And they made reference to a showdown you're going to have later with this courier.
Okay, that's probably a reference back to the original game where you remember that if you talk to Jonathan Nash, and you go through that there was another courier who was supposed to take your package, and he says, no, let Courier 6 take it.
Yes. So it has to be him.
So this is another reference to that same guy.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's supposedly a fight between an old world flag you're going to have with him.
Oh, great.
So that was rather interesting. I mean, I just read this. I was in a hurry, so I kind of went through it quickly. So once we're done, I'm going to go play it again. But that was the gist I got from it.
Okay. So Christine stays as a guardian.
She stays as a guardian. God or Dog, you help him. I think, you know this. You help him kind of get rid of his split personality.
Yes.
So he becomes one person. He, the end story, he remembers you and decides to help you in your future endeavor with this fight. So apparently in the future you'll be able to call upon him to help you as well, because even though he doesn't remember you distinctly, his two memories somehow make you think he owes you some kind of gratitude or something.
Okay, so that's interesting. And then Dean, you pretty much have to kill. I did not see any conversation. I had 100% speech when I met him. When I got to the confrontation with him in the theater, and I couldn't see any way out of that other than killing him.
Yeah, I spent some time trying that too, and I couldn't do anything. It didn't even give you a chance to You mean at the stairs, right? Your final confrontation?
Yeah, and he just starts.
Yeah, yeah.
If you go all the way through the speech, and there's a point where I thought maybe there was going to be one more where he says okay, but no, he just opens up, starts shooting at you.
I wonder if you did you ever use any knockout weapons in this game?
No, I didn't. Maybe I could have tried that.
Yeah, I'm using them a lot in the PC version because in the PC version you can download a mod where you can knock people out and take their items, which I thought was a good idea. But oh well. Okay, this didn't solve this one.
Yeah, no, I didn't see any way around that other than killing Dean. He seems to be the one that you have to kill. There's just no other option.
Yeah, I've heard rumors that you could get by, but I couldn't get by.
If they are, they're not speech-based, because like I said, I had 100% speech at that point with that guy, and it didn't seem like I could do anything with him.
No, and even when you did use in the theater, when you used your speech on him, even if you were successful, you were unsuccessful in getting what you wanted. So it seems like he had as high of a speech as you did.
Yeah. He's just an opponent that I guess the lesson here is that he's a guy you can't get around. You have to just deal with him. Right.
And dealing when we did. Did you listen to it on the radio, on the Pip-Boy, there were different frequencies. I think there was 74.3 hertz, whatever.
Yeah.
Did you ever listen to any of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a neat aspect of the game, a little small feature that they added.
Yeah, they added a few more things. I mean, that gives a little bit more interest to it. Because some of the audio, especially in the main game, gets tiresome after a while. If you play long enough, the game itself is interesting, but the audio gets very repetitive.
Yes. Yep.
So, well, unless you've got more, I think that pretty much covers Dead Money. I mean, I've heard that you can get out with all the gold bars.
Yes. I've heard 6. I've heard somebody get out with 6.
Okay.
I had 2 questions for you, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you find the blue emitters for the hologram?
I found
the holograms that walk around that you have to fight?
2 of them.
Okay,
of the 3, I found 2, and for the life of me, the last one, I just reset his pattern and ran by him. Yeah,
I was getting lazy then. I was just running by them. At the beginning of the game, I was trying to reset their patterns and sneak by them. At the end, they're such bad aim, you can just kind of run and dodge them.
Yeah, 2 of the emitters I found, but the third I kept looking and looking, and it didn't seem anywhere obvious, and I just finally gave up and ran by him.
And how about that cloud poison? Did you use any of that? Because that was something they kind of pushed. Every time you came across the little cook set, they wanted you to cook, or you had the option of cooking cloud residue and making it into like lethal, potent, or
I didn't make it into anything other than the thing that gives you the ghost vision, the stuff that basically gives you, I guess it's UV vision.
Oh, that might be neat though.
It is. It gives you night vision, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, cool. I didn't use much for the survival stuff, so
yeah. Well,
I was just curious if you had.
I didn't have much survival, so I think that was the only recipe I had.
Okay.
They said I have to do a full character rebuild to go back in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that pretty much wraps it up on Dead Money. So that's it for that podcast until the next DLC or a decent mod comes out. So it's time for Happy Trails.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.